Eccoci qua ragazzi, di nuovo in diretta dopo ieri appunto con i Death Angel e appunto Adimer c'era con i Dark Angel, ok? Quindi saremo in puntata anche domenica con gli Isvid, con Goblin, quindi veramente after hour completa del Calice Nero. Buonasera Adimer, ben arrivato sul Calice Nero,
Buonasera
mio
maestro.
fido collaboratore. Allora, Graziano infatti ha scritto, sta fisso commentando, e Margrevanarca che ha detto che è bello che stare dall'altra parte ogni tanto, quindi ci può vedere Adimera di bello. Veramente tante situazioni, codice d'onore 000, quindi tante situazioni. Allora ragazzi, oggi abbiamo niente poco di meno che Manheim. Manheim è un batterista veramente eccellente, di un'eccellenza unica. Diciamo che appunto è lui il primo batterista dei Mayhem, quindi ragazzi veramente ci sarà tanto da parlare. Adesso lo chiamiamo. Welcome.
Hi. Thank you. It's a pleasure to have you here again, and we're really looking forward to deep dive into your career as a musician. So thanks for being here.
Well, thank you for having me.
Allora, possiamo partire con la prima domanda. Manheim, una domanda che vorrei assolutamente proporti, sicuramente ti hanno già posto questa domanda. Quanto è stato complesso nel lavorare con i Mayhem all'inizio, proprio al debutto? Che ricordi hai? Che situazioni sono state andando a divenire? E soprattutto, cosa pensi del libro Lord of Chaos?
So this is surely a question that they may have asked you 1,000 times before, but how it has been during your career in Mayhem in the beginning to work with them and to develop the sound that has become what has become, and also what are your opinions on the book Lords of Chaos?
Okay. Well, that is a big question to start with, you know. I'm not sure if it's easy to describe what it felt like to be part of the beginning of this, but of course this was. I have good memories of what we did. We had we had a drive where we were trying to do something different. We wanted to make the music that we liked, we wanted to do that even more extreme. We wanted to go into more depth, if you like, and it started pretty much as any other band, I guess. Everyone has this idea of what it is to start a band, and I don't think that our story was any different. Of course, it developed differently, but it's in basics it's just a band story, but we found that we enjoyed making music together, and Necrobutcher and I, we were friends from childhood. We went to school together, went into the same class, so of course we knew each other from quite the beginning. But after we met Esten, the band projects that we had felt like we found someone like us. So from there on, Mayhem was born, and the rest is pretty much a history. But of course, I think that Mayhem and the story about Mayhem and those years where we were driving this passion of ours. I think that the story has become larger than us. Maybe it probably, I've said it a few times, that maybe those years defined us as much as we defined the Mayhem, right? So it's kind of us, yeah. So that's my answer to that. I'm not sure if I answered the whole.
Yeah. No, you did. So basically, you say that those period of your life also shaped you, not just you, but even Necrobutcher, for example, as people more than just the band itself.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
It's kind of a defining years, and it's been with us since, right? We're still doing music. We still talk about this. So of course that's a big. I think that's a good answer as a whole. But of course, then there's all these details. And speaking of details, the book Lords of Chaos is not a very good book. It might be a good book to read, but it's not a very good book in accuracy. So, and I would say that it was even made worse with the movie because there's not much there that's true. You know, the main events maybe, but you know, the main events was, well, no, I think it's pure fiction, and I can't understand why they went through all that time to make something that has nothing to do with the story they try to say that they trying to tell. So that's what I have to say about that.
So you see it more as a sort of piece of narration rather than documentation, sort of saying.
It's fiction.
Okay. I will translate the reply you gave now. Quindi praticamente ha detto che all'inizio ovviamente ha bei ricordi di quello che è stato il suo periodo nei Mayhem. Ha detto che lui e Necrobutcher erano amici dall'infanzia, quindi hanno deciso di mettersi e far musica. Ha detto che comunque ritiene che lo sviluppo che ha avuto il gruppo in quegli anni sia andato più o meno come per tutte le band al giorno d'oggi. Cioè si sono ritrovati, hanno deciso di fare qualcosa di diverso. In questo caso sono andati sul versante ovviamente molto più estremo, quindi prendere la musica che gli piace, estremizzarla ulteriormente, andare molto più a fondo su quello e appunto creare questa sorta di sound che poi è diventato quello che è diventato. Ovviamente poi la cosa è diventata, lui ha detto, ben più grande di quanto sia il gruppo, e comunque ha detto che quel periodo, a detta sua, ha non solo sviluppato quello che è stato il suono, ma anche loro come persone, nel senso che li ha proprio formati mentalmente. E voleva aggiungere anche il fatto che ovviamente è una cosa di cui ne va fiero, perché se ne siamo a parlare oggi. Quindi fanno ancora tutti musicisti, quindi di sicuro gli è andata bene. Poi per quanto riguarda la questione del libro Lords of Chaos, ha detto che sì, è un bel libro da leggere, nulla da dire, ma che non è affatto documentativo, nel senso che è molto più fittizio, quindi che non ha molto senso. Cioè, appunto, se vuoi leggertelo, lo leggi con cognizione di causa, non stai là a pensare questa è effettivamente la storia. Ho detto che però per il film, ad esempio, è una questione diversa, nel senso che i fatti là sono stati descritti in maniera molto più accurata e ovviamente comunque c'è una parte di finzione, però comunque è più preciso.
Scusami.
No, era quanto volevo andare con la domanda, appunto.
Ok, sì, infatti, prego.
E avevo intenzione di chiedergli lui come batterista come ha iniziato il suo percorso e cosa l'ha spinto poi a fare quello che sta facendo adesso, perché comunque è molto poliedrico come musicista, nel senso che lui rimane batterista ma vari progetti, e capire qual è stato il suo sviluppo come musicista. Ok, so now I would love to ask you more about your career as a drummer. By starting from the early days, what brought you into playing drums? What have been your influences at the time? And what difficulties you may have found as a drummer, because maybe of some sort of difficulty on finding the kits and what else?
Okay. Well, where does things start? I don't know, because when it starts when you're a kid, it's difficult to describe where it comes from, right? But I always loved music and I always loved rhythm. So if you ask my mother, she talks about how it was impossible to make me stand still because I always found rhythm. I could stand by the washing machine and, you know, be part of that. And I guess it's something that you just are. And for me, it was something that I always loved. I always loved music. I listened to music from I was as long as I can remember. So the start of the drumming was when this ordinary school band, you know, the one that walks in the street. Yeah, they were looking for kids who were interested in learning how to do a parade drum, be a part of a parade drum row in the school band, and I just decided to join. So I met up and went through the trial, and that's it. So I started there actually. And I loved it from the first second. Of course, you get your drumstick and you get your drum, and here you are. So that's how it all started. It's quite passionate moment where you find something that you find that you're good at and that you really love to do. So that's where it started. When it comes later in when we started to talk about bands, of course, to get a drum kit to play on was difficult, but I was delivering newspapers as an extra job, so as a kid. So my mom loaned me the money, and I paid her back over that salary. So that's how that was done. So, but it was I think it was a Tama, some star or something. It was a cheap drum set, but it was okay. It did the trick, right? So that was the thing.
If it works,
it works, you know. And I always say that it's not the equipment that make good music. It's you know, it's just you and what you have. You play with the things you have. You sing with the voice you have. You drum with the drums you have. So that's the most important stuff. So I haven't seen that many difficulties. It wasn't difficult to prioritize spending money on drum stuff or music stuff. That was what we spent our money on. It was, you know, alcohol, smoke, cigarettes, and you know, music stuff. Yeah.
Priorities. Okay, so I will translate this part and then I will get into the second part of the question. Praticamente ha detto che come inizio, trattandosi comunque di tantissimi anni fa, non ha proprio i ricordi al 100%, però tutto quello che si ricorda, perché appunto ha iniziato che era piccolissimo, ha detto che sua mamma diceva sempre che lui non riusciva a stare fermo, era sempre in movimento e che anche solo avere la lavatrice che andava, lui stava là e faceva il ritmo con quella.
Grandissimo.
E questo praticamente è proprio il principio. Lui ha sempre amato la musica, quindi, e i ritmi in generale. E per come ha iniziato a suonare la batteria in sé, praticamente c'era la sua scuola che stava cercando un batterista, o comunque di formare un batterista per una banda, quindi quelle che proprio vanno per strada.
Certo.
Lui ha provato e si è trovato bene già dal primo momento. Il fatto di avere un rullante, delle bacchette, diciamo così, far casino, e si è ritrovato e da là poi è iniziato tutto il suo percorso. E ha detto che come proprio inizi da batterista, praticamente lui quando era ragazzino consegnava giornali, quindi sua mamma gli ha prestato i soldi, si è comprato questo kit della Tama molto molto economico, basilare, tutto quello che vuoi, e lui man mano col suo stipendietto da consegna giornali l'ha ripagata, e da là in poi ha detto che ha speso praticamente molti dei suoi soldi tra roba per la musica, quindi principalmente batteria e tutto quello che ci va dietro, sigarette e alcol. Quindi queste sono state le 3 priorità al momento.
Ok. Allora,
Now,
scusami.
aspetta, perché c'è la
Prego.
seconda parte della...
Sì, scusami.
Tranquillo. Now the second part of the question is more about you in the recent days. So you still are a drummer, but you have many projects that are almost basically, apart from one, nothing to do with metal. You're more on the noise side. So what brought you into doing that and applying drums into noise music?
Well, that's a very good question. I'm not sure if I know why, but it was the same thing. I was exposed to that type of music very early. Like you probably know that Euronymous, Esten, and I, we had a passion for experimental avant-garde music. So we also have parallel projects where we explored that side of ourselves. And we actually had more concerts with that than we had with Mayhem. But that's because it was very difficult to get concerts with Mayhem. No one wanted to hear us. So think of that. You can come and have some experimental stuff, and everyone wants to listen to it. But if you come with what was black metal and Mayhem, no one wanted to hear it. So that's how it was. But anyways, that's actually that's a passion and interest I have as part of me. And when things got serious around noise, I enjoyed listening to it. I enjoyed going to shows. And I was invited to do a collaboration piece with a guy called Russell Haswell, together with Lasse Marhaug. And that was the beginning of that interest and all the collaborations that I did. And it mostly live, but there are some recordings. We have a recording of Maranata, which was a noise duo, which I collaborated with. So that's out there. And I found that doing that type of music, if you can call it music, it's not necessarily musical, but it's rhythmic. It's kind of, I call it that you take sound and then you take music and take away all structure. So what you have left is really just raw feelings. It's expressions and put together somehow. And I enjoy doing that. I really love doing that. I think you have a parallel with metal music, extreme metal music especially, because you're pushing limits on how far you can go to feel what you want to feel, right? So I think all music is about feelings, and the feelings you get when you listen to extreme metal and black metal is probably closer to noise than you will say that it's close to jazz, right? So I don't think it's this giant leap. Now, if you look at stuff, you can go online and you can watch a DVD recording that we did, which is on the other side of it. It's called Against the Grain, and that's noisy, but it's also avant-garde-ish, and it's all about intuition, and nothing is written beforehand. It's all improvisation, and I find that's interesting. It is interesting to sit down with other musicians and see how far can it go, so when you go into noise, you try to go as far as you can without losing control. When you go into improvisations like we did with Against the Grain video, there we were in this empty silo. So there we were experimenting on how can we exploit that soundscape in a way that makes you go into, again, escape, or a space where you actually get into a certain type of mood. Now, there's a different mood, I suspect, to listen into it or watch it and to play it. So, and I'm fortunate because I am also in the listening role when I listen to music. But it's difficult to say how it is to listen to what I'm part of. But it's what I would like to do is to go into the limits on any area and see what we can find. So that's why I've done that. So when it comes to not metal, well, when you've done mayhem stuff, and I went sort of into a very dark space after that. So I've been open about it, so it's no secret. But I wasn't that interested in doing much music. I didn't have much room for music after mayhem for a couple of years. So it's kind of doing a band. You need to really invest in it, right? You're not alone. So it's kind of it demands a lot of you. Doing projects, on the other hand, doesn't demand that much. You can go in and out of going in and out of projects felt good to me, and I could produce music and I could do things I liked. But then Order was established. It's getting close to 10 years ago now. And that was actually just a question. I didn't plan to go back into metal as such, but Anders Odden talked to me and asked me if I would like to do that again. And when he asked that time, I was like, yeah, why not? And that's how I entered metal again. And I haven't regretted it. It's a big part of me. It was like coming home, but it wasn't like I was feeling that I was away, if you understand my meaning.
So it seems like you've never actually left, that you just you froze time until you got back into it.
Yeah, well put. Yeah, maybe that's what it was. Yeah.
Okay, so sorry, I will now translate it. Praticamente ha detto che come per come è successo con i Mayhem, praticamente c'è stato questa sorta di voler sperimentare, nel senso che tutti quanti nei Mayhem all'epoca avevano progetti alternativi e per potersi conoscere, per poter capire i propri limiti e eventualmente scavalcarli. Ed ovviamente era una cosa che non si poteva portare nei Mayhem. E la sua passione per il noise di per sé non ha un'origine vera e propria, semplicemente l'ha conosciuto, si è appassionato e da là ha iniziato appunto a collaborare con vari progetti, tra cui ha parlato di Maranatha, ha parlato anche di Against the Grain. E diciamo che non hanno nulla a che vedere con neanche quello che è il noise, perché di per sé il noise appunto è solo rumore. Lui ha detto che quello che fa, dove almeno lui è coinvolto, perché comunque ha detto tu da un progetto, perché non è una band, è un progetto, quindi tu puoi andare e venire come tra virgolette ti pare e piace. E ha detto che di per sé è sì noise, ma che comunque ha una sorta di base ritmica dietro. Lui ha detto praticamente prendi la musica, la scomponi e metti assieme quello che viene fuori. E comunque è appunto un modo principalmente per sperimentare e fare robe nuove. Ad esempio lui ha parlato del progetto Against the Grain, che si può trovare anche su YouTube. Adesso metto il link qua nella chat, poi se vuoi condividerlo fai pure. Praticamente hanno registrato dentro un silos abbandonato, e praticamente sono entrati e si sono lasciati influenzare da quello che è l'ambiente. Quindi hanno lasciato che le emozioni venissero fuori, ma senza una logica premeditata. Che lui vuole far quello quando partecipa a questi progetti, non vuole star troppo a ragionare su quello che è o che non è, eccetera eccetera. Lui vuole buttare fuori i sentimenti, come
quindi nulla di costruito, ma
esatto. E ha detto che appunto lui comunque, come avevo anche accennato, lui non ha solo progetti di questa natura, ha anche una band vera e propria, metal, e ha detto che sì, lui ha detto un paio di anni dopo che è andato via dai Mayhem, si è ritrovato in un punto della sua vita dove non voleva saperne di musica, un paio di anni, ed ha ripreso questa cosa. Qualche anno fa è stato chiamato per provare a tornare nel metal con gli Order. Is Order the band we were talking about? The metal one, the strictly metal. E praticamente ha detto che per lui non si è mai fermato il tempo. Alla fine si è ritrovato a sì, ovviamente rispolverare quello che è stato, ma non si sente come se se ne fosse andato e per poi tornare. Diciamo che il tempo
non si è mai fermato.
Esatto, si è ghiacciato praticamente in questo frangente fino a che non ha ripreso.
Allora, salutiamo Peter e Ariane, un abbraccio a tutti e due. Allora, quindi Manheim, se cerchiamo di portare sia i Mayhem sia gli Order allo stesso punto, nel senso di portare all'interno di una tela. Questa tela deve scaturire, deve scattare le emozioni intime, profonde che ancora non sono state raccontate. Quindi di cercare di collegare anche la natura, l'arte, ma anche la parte filosofica delle due band e allo stesso momento di creare, appunto, di portare a livelli ulteriori molto diversi da quello che uno può percepire, proprio i pattern anche di batteria. Quindi come potrebbero essere questi due questi pattern di batteria dei Mayhem e degli Order come delle colonne sonore anche.
So this question is a bit tricky, so I hope I can explain it to you properly. If you are in need to put to convey what is your experience as a drummer from Mayhem and Order on a canvas, and you need to put your hidden emotions, your art, and your philosophy as a person on that canvas by including the two bands you work with, what can the picture be? And also, how can you put your drum patterns, which this is a second part of the question, let's say, how can you put the drum patterns that you've used in those two bands in a movie, as a soundtrack for a movie? What kind of movie can it be?
Interesting questions. I never had that question before, so that's a good one. Okay, let's see if I'm able to answer you. First, to put those two bands together in the Canva, on the Canva, and see how it expresses. I think that it will be a complex image. It's going to be a painting that uses different techniques, I think. I would say that there will be. Do you know Edvard Munch, the painter?
Yep.
Yeah. So I will say that we will find some of his. It will be some of his expression in the background, because there's in both bands there's a lot of deep feelings about how it is to be. Of course, us. We're talking about ourselves, but we try to say that how we experience being human. I think it will be with Mayhem a much less matured expression. It's going to be a lot more energy in it. I think it's going to be more aggression and desperation. I'm not sure how I can explain that visually for you, but let's say there's a lot of strong coloring and a lot of very hard strokes on the canvas. So it's kind of a very contrastful expression, while in order will bring into the painting more of the lived life part of it. So it's more soothing. So maybe we'll have this complex painting that shows that there's part of us that are, in a chaos that we can't control, and then there's part of in us at the age we are now that are more thought through. We have lived a life, so we have more depth in the pain that we experience as humans. So I think it will be more esoteric expression and more exoteric expression in Mayhem. So esoteric expression in order, exoteric in Mayhem. I'm not sure if this is visual enough for you, but
yeah, it is to be honest.
Good. So, and the coloring of order, I think it will be darker colors and more earth colors. So because it's kind of it has aged. When it comes to soundtrack and my drumming, I'm not sure if I'm the right one to answer that. I do think that I have a special way of doing my drums. I'm not a blast drummer, even though I do have my signature blast. So but it's. I think that I have more movement in my drumming than many other drummers have in our genre. So I would say that the movie would be. Oh no, that's much worse. I can answer that. I can paint. I can't make movies. But let's okay. No, I can't. It's not my tool. I think maybe movie.
Because if you say
what I'm confused about is that I know what type of movies I like to watch, right? But
because if
that's not the question. The question is what movies would would be what would a movie be if it used my drumming as the soundtrack? And I don't know. I honestly don't know.
Because if you talk about having a lot of movement on your drums compared to other things, I guess, but that's from my point of view, that a movie that is quite frantic, sort of saying, but it's still dark and energetic in a way. It's Requiem for a Dream, with all the changes of scene and that are very quick. So that's maybe my first sense. So
I take that as a compliment.
I mean, it's a great movie, and your drumming is great from my perspective. So
Let's go for that
Ok.
one. Yeah.
Ok, let's go for that one. Ok, praticamente ha detto, per quanto riguarda un dipinto come stile,
Mhm.
ha detto che sarebbe qualcosa di abbastanza, diciamo, caotico, ma neanche troppo, comunque ragionato. Lui ha
Ok.
fatto l'esempio di Munch
Mm.
come,
Mm.
come pittore. Per quanto riguarda il lato Mayhem, sarebbe molto meno maturo, ma comunque molto più energetico, aggressivo, a tratti anche, si può dire, disperato. E per i colori sarebbero sicuramente colori forti con pennellate proprio ampie, quindi molto molto forti. Mentre per quanto riguarda l'aspetto appunto un po' più filosofico, per creare tutta quella sorta di contrasto e di aggressività che è quella proprio caratteristica di quello che erano i Mayhem all'epoca. Per quanto riguarda gli Order invece lo stile cambia un pochino perché si concentrerebbe più su vita vera e vissuta. Quindi si tratta di una sorta di caos incontrollabile,
Mhm.
però comunque ragionato nei dettagli, attraverso appunto le esperienze, quindi appunto anche prendendo la disparità tra Mayhem e Order, sono cresciute come persone, quindi di sicuro il tratto è molto più maturo, molto più ragionato, molto più logico. Come colori sarebbero sicuramente colori cupi. Però entrambi i dipinti avrebbero un tratto sicuramente esoterico alle spalle. Mentre per quanto riguarda i film, ci ha ragionato un bel po', quindi non è stata una risposta facile, perché ha detto io so dipingere, non so praticamente niente di film e non gli veniva neanche un esempio su cui poter ragionare, su cui poter parlare. E per quanto riguarda la descrizione che lui ha dato di questi progetti, a me era venuto in mente Requiem for a Dream, che comunque è molto frenetico, molto, molto cupo, ma comunque molto energetico, quindi dal mio punto di vista appunto avrebbe potuto prendere entrambi gli aspetti dei progetti, dei gruppi. E lui ha accettato quello come risposta e l'ha preso come un complimento, quindi va bene così.
Infatti voglio incentrarmi ancora di più, poi ti lascio la parola voglio incentrarmi ancora di più verso gli order, nel senso, cerchiamo di portare gli order ancora nel più profondo, nel senso che il sole, ma non quel sole giallo, quel sole caldo, ma quel sole ghiacciato, quindi un inverno in Norvegia appunto con delle temperature molto rigide, si va dai meno 30 ai meno 20 gradi sotto zero, fino a portare sulla notte appunto la luna. Quanto queste due luci riescono a rispecchiare Manheim all'interno appunto dei piatti della batteria e come riesce allo stesso tempo nel creare una poesia contorta ma con un filo logico astratto.
Io lo sai che ti odio, vero? In questo momento. So the question now is still tricky, still on the way that what we already went through.
I need more wine.
Yeah, definitely. So the question is, if you are going to pick order and if you need to put some, sorry, that's my brother actually picking up something. If you need to pick order and to put the sun that shines in Norway during winter, so it's pretty cold. It's not that real red, yellow sun, call it whatever. And you also need to pick the moon. How can you put those two lights into the music that's in order and your drumming?
Hmm. Okay, the sun that we have in winter time. I expect that you're talking about Oslo, because we do have sun in Oslo in winter time. But if some part of Norway we don't have sun in the winter time, then it's totally gone.
Mm-hmm.
So you're talking about not the midnight, the whole night and the special feel you have there, but you're talking about this low
Yeah, exactly.
sun. Okay. Well, I don't know. I think maybe that part of Earth is the part of Earth that is in the high north or the low south. You get this shimmering that kind of reflects. I don't know. It's a mood that you come in. The whole landscape is in a certain mood. It's like it's always dawn, and but it's a different dawn. It's not like the sun is shining. It's just that it is kind of dark all the time.
Halfway through.
Yeah, so I think you get in the mood. Some people get depressed, actually, and that's a problem. Especially people who's not used to it can get depressed, because you only see the sun a few hours a day in midwinter. I love it. I have always loved it. I think those the what we call it mørketid, which is the time of darkness, and for some that is not a good thing, and for others like me, it's a very I like that season. So I think, to answer your question, I think that it's not moonlight. I think moonlight is something completely different. Moonlight can be, of course, it can have the same mood, but a full moon is something different. It doesn't have this particular light that you get in when you are midwinter, because you also have this combination with it's cold, it can be windy, and it can be icy cold, really, really cold, and it's dark, but it's still not totally dark, and it's very hard to explain. But what you can say is that it's kind of, if you have a heavy mind, do you know what I mean with that? It's not depression. It's just that you feel
You're feeling blue, quote unquote.
You're feeling blue, yeah, quite blue. It's like you have this burden going on. Now, you can have that burden and you can feel sick, and maybe you are, right? But you can have that feeling and feel good, because it's as I have to speak for myself, but that's when you sit down and you feel the silence, and you get to think very much about yourself, like when it's summer and it's all this noise going on, being in Sicily in the summer. It's noisy, it's happiness, there's a lot of things happening, but in these times, with that lightning, that light and the coldness and everything, I think that has a certain quality over itself. It makes you as a person to sit down and think more about, philosophical thoughts maybe, but at least you can feel what it is to be human in another sense than when you're at the party in Rome, right? So that's it. So I'm not answering the question, I know, but I will say that the moonshine is a different thing. I would say that black metal is much closer to the time of darkness than the moonlight.
Okay, so it's more on the between the faint dawn that you talked about and the actual darkness of the night.
Yeah, and it has this certain shimmering that might reflect how we can feel sometime, because you can walk in darkness and the sun can be shining, right? So
yeah,
and opposite. So again, I'm a person who think that we are run by our feelings, and everything we do is about how it feels to be human, how it feels to make music, how it feels to meet friends. So I think that we are emotionally very emotionally beings as humans, and I think music and the music we make is reflecting probably the darker part of being human. Not to say that it's not a lighter part of being human. Of course it is, but we explore the darker side.
Mhm. So you have this tendency to put out the if I can put it like this, the negative emotions out with the music more rather than in any other way.
Yeah, well, I'm not sure if well, it could be negative feelings, but I'm writing a lyric now. I can talk about it. We're in studio yesterday, Anders and I. We're working on a new. It has a working title, and that's The Mirror of Death. And the mirror of death is where you look at yourself, and the mirror looks at you, and whatever it knows where you've been, it knows how you lived, it knows everything. So it reveals yourself, and it also free yourself. Now, that's not negative thoughts. That's just dark thoughts, right?
Yeah. Okay,
Different.
I get it. It's way different way of actually seeing it. It's pretty interesting, to be honest, to have such a view on things, because yeah, as you said, there's mainly dark stuff in music. One can say whatever, but even in fucking pop music, if you want to, there's always something dark and negative going on.
Exactly. And if I can interrupt you, if you look
sure.
at the strong songs, what they're about sadness, right? That's where you find the strong songs, even in opera. Even though you don't want to hear all the lyrics in opera, but you're Italian, so you have to. But it's all about this big negative or sadness that it's all about. So in all genres is about that. So what we do is we explore that, and we explore it very very thorough, and we go inside ourselves and we try to share. And I'm not sure if everyone understand that's what we do, but that's what we try to do. So, but negative text, if you go to punk, for instance, they have a lot of negative text. It's all about fighting and suppressions and unfairness, and I love punk. So no worries, but we're not doing that type of lyrics. That's not the feelings that we explore in order, or did explore in Mayhem.
Okay, I will try to translate it because it's pretty huge, so maybe I will cut something out. I will try and keep everything in, of fucking course.
Good luck.
Yeah, thank you. Allora, praticamente ha detto che per quanto riguarda dove vive lui, di per sé non è che ci sia un sole effettivo, nel senso che dove lui c'è il sole per poche ore al giorno, e d'inverno hanno molte ore di ovviamente buio, quindi proprio notte, e quella sorta di costante alba o tramonto che può essere. E vedo che queste sono situazioni, sono luci che nonostante siano comunque tutte diverse, possono portare a stare male. Quindi chi non è abituato può veramente star male con questi tipi di luce. E lui ha detto: noi vogliamo con Order praticamente star là a tirar fuori quelle emozioni che uno può provare in quei frangenti, nel senso che non si parla di roba negativa di per sé, ma siccome quella tipologia di clima, di luci, tutto quello che ci va assieme, rende, ha detto parlo per me stesso, rende molto più filosofici, molto più introspettivi, ti fa ragionare molto di più su quella che è la vita, però non è una cosa negativa di per sé, perché si può essere felici nonostante queste emozioni, che ti porti quella sorta di peso sulla schiena, che comunque puoi viverla bene. E lui con Order vuole fare quella roba là, perché anche con i testi che lui compone vanno a trattare esperienze di vita vissuta, quindi di cose che uno può sentire realmente e che sia parte di sé, nel senso non vogliono fingere, nel senso di creare qualcosa che non sia naturale per l'uomo, mi viene da dire. E ha parlato anche di, ad esempio, un testo, siccome adesso sono in studio con gli Order, stanno facendo il testo di una canzone, il titolo temporaneo è The Mirror of Death, e ha detto che anche solo in quella si parla del tu che guardi lo specchio e lo specchio che guarda te, quindi è quella sorta di concetto. E si tratta semplicemente di sviluppare quei sentimenti che vengono fuori. Poi divagando un attimo, ha detto che comunque questi sentimenti sono presenti praticamente in qualsiasi genere musicale. Abbiamo fatto l'esempio del pop. Quali sono le canzoni che vanno di più? Sono quelle che parlano di tristezza, malessere personale, eccetera, eccetera. Difficilmente sarà una canzone che parla di felicità, eccetera, eccetera. E anche mettici l'opera, mettici qualsiasi cosa.
Ok, puoi chiedere Manheim, perché è impegnato, se possiamo fare le ultime 2 domande oppure no. A lui ce lo devi dire lui,
Okay. So, can we give you like the last 2 questions, or if you need to go?
No, I have time. No worries.
Ok, possiamo andare.
Yeah.
Prima
Just
te
getting
e poi chiudo
myself
io.
another glass of wine now. So
Okay,
I'm good
awesome.
for another hour. So
Thank you. Ok, vai Adimer e poi vado io. Vai.
Okay, my question is more on the memory side of view. What is your best memory that you have in a studio recording something, whatever project it may be, whatever band you work with?
the best experience in the studio.
Yeah, or even a funny story if you want to talk about it.
Well, I have a funny story. I'm not sure if it's probably known. I don't know. But when we were recording Death Crush, there was a piano there. In the studio, and this is well known, the studio didn't know much about the type of music that we were going to play. They even thought that we were, playing reggae or something. So
Yeah.
And we had this producer there, at least a studio producer, and he was supposed to help us, and he really did. But he wasn't expecting what we came to play. That said, this piano was in the studio when I sat down at the piano and just started to play. And then he heard something that, this was, this I understand. So he wanted to record it. So we recorded it, and that was Weird Manheim. So that's how that happened. It wasn't planned. It just happened. So I like things like that, when you just sit down and you just do something, and we decide how to put it in, and it works out fine. So that's a good story. But being in the studios, there's two things. I'm not very fond of the hard work where everything is done and you're just trying to make it right. If you understand, you just repeat yourself and try to make it. good. And as a drummer, that's the worst thing you can do, because it's, you know, it's on click, and you know, it's I don't like it.
You can't fake it.
You can't. And you know, with the recording software of today, you know, they just, you know, they take everything up and say, oh, that, you see that you're a bit off. It's like, okay,
Let's align it.
Yeah, I do find that being a bit off can be quite good, because it makes that small movement that you as a listener don't actually think about, because but it's a bit off.
Feels natural.
Bit off is okay, but it has to be, you know, always. So yeah, but so good stories in the studio is where we create. And we're fortunate to have a studio now. We rehearse in the studio, we record everything. And well, like when Anders and I are writing music for Order now, I think that's really, I like that, because then we are really spontaneous. So we can start off with an idea, we can go down the path, we can end up in a blind spot and decide that we just crap it. We can't. This is going nowhere, and we just leave everything and we start anew. And that is kind of a relief. And that type of studio working, I love that. So the best studio experience I had there is like when you within just a few minutes you have a song, and that sounds strange, but the best songs are often very intuitive, and it comes quite fast. Of course, you spend a lot of time to refine the stuff, but it's when everything fits, and it's just, you go for this, you go for that, and this takes you there, and this takes, and then suddenly you have this song. Yeah, and that's very fulfilling. And so we are able to do that in the studio now. Back in the Mayhem days, studio was too expensive. You couldn't spend time in the studio. It was like, you know, you have to be a rock star to spend time in the studio. So that you have to look at how things were in the recording studio that we had. So, and we didn't have any recording equipment there. So it's now the rehearsal. I mean, we didn't have any recording equipment. So, for instance, Pure Fucking Armageddon was made quite fast. That was me on the guitar and Necro on the bass, and for some reason Euronymous was sitting on the drums, and we were just playing around, and suddenly the riff was there. And then when the riff was there, Necro started to do something with his bass, and there you have the middle part. And then we started to say that we need something really aggressive, so we just went to do, and there you are. So you have three quite fast themes in the song, and from there it's like, okay, this needs to be done. So here's the guitar, and I'm sitting behind the drum set, and we just refine it there and then, and makes Pure Fucking Armageddon. So I think that's how that's a good moment. If you have to struggle to get the song out, that's not a good moment, and it seldom ends well. In my case, it seldom does.
Yeah, I totally feel you, because I mean that spontaneous feel that you have when you are writing, maybe it's even influenced by the people you're working with, because sometimes you find yourself in the room and you're just playing around and nothing comes out. That
can be tiresome, right? So, yeah, and suddenly you have it. And when you have it, what we do with Order now, what we did with the Gospel, was we had spent so much time, and it was on and off, and we had tons of material. I think I'm literally, we had, gigabytes, terabytes of recordings, but it didn't go anywhere. So we decided just to delete it all. And that was kind of 3-4 years of material going down the drain. But I think it was the right thing to do. And then we sat down, and again, it was Anders and I. And within the next 3-4 weeks, the gospel was finished.
Mhm.
So I think this to liberate yourself. And what we did then when we met, we went into the studio, we started jamming, we found a rhythm, we found a structure, we started to work on. And I'm not going to go through the whole process, but at the same evening, we found the riffs, we set up the rhythm, we recorded everything, we wrote the lyrics, we recorded the singing. So within 3 hours of an evening, we went from having nothing to have a finished song. So, and that's when you're in that creative mood, then it's fun. But then again, when it was over, it was over. So why isn't the gospel a longer album? Well, it was over. That was it. So
you did put whatever you needed to put.
Yeah, it was that part of the creative process was done. So then after that, you go into a new period where you refine, you structure and everything. And 2 months after that, we start to record. So then you do everything again, and that could be quite tiresome, but it's fun as well, as long as you can be creative within the frames of the different songs. And I'm quite pleased with that record because it was made so fast and it's very intuitive. It's very direct from the heart, right?
Ok, praticamente gli ho chiesto qual è la sua migliore esperienza in studio e aneddoti divertenti che voleva raccontare. Lui ha detto che vabbè, non è un mistero per quanto riguarda le registrazioni di Death Crush. Il fonico non si aspettava un gruppo reggae e questo è venuto
non sapeva
fuori.
questo.
Ha detto che una parte divertente di quelle registrazioni è stato proprio c'è una parte di piano all'interno di quell'EP e che è venuta fuori proprio a caso. Praticamente lui si è messo al piano, ha suonato, hanno visto che però è figo, registriamolo ed è rimasto. Quindi sono quelle robe che vengono fuori così al momento che fa piacere. Per quanto riguarda esperienze divertenti, ha detto ce ne sono tante. Ha detto principalmente si tratta di quando devi andare a registrare un qualcosa o scrivere del materiale e viene fuori così sul momento. Ha parlato di Pure Fucking Armageddon, dove praticamente c'erano lui e Necrobutcher a chitarra e basso che scrivevano i giri un po' alla volta e ha detto per qualche strana ragione c'era Euronymous alla batteria e quindi praticamente si sono messi a scrivere le canzoni in quella maniera e poi ovviamente si sono rimessi ai propri rispettivi ruoli per rifinirle e registrarle che questo è un ricordo divertente che ha. Detto che per quanto riguarda l'esperienza migliore è stata la scrittura e la registrazione di The Gospel degli Order, perché ha detto erano arrivati a un punto dove avevano letteralmente 3-4 anni con terabyte di materiale registrato, riff sparsi di qua e di là, non erano soddisfatti di nulla, quindi cosa hanno fatto? Hanno cancellato tutto e hanno rifatto da zero. E ha detto che in 2 settimane si sono messi lui e Anders. Was it Anders that helped you with the songwriting of the gospel?
Yeah. Anders and I am the ones who write the songs in order.
Ok. Quindi praticamente Anders è il chitarrista degli Order. Si sono messi, praticamente ha detto 3 ore a sera avevano una canzone pronta, giri, testi, registrato delle demo,
finita. alla fine.
Quindi neanche magari finita, ovviamente poi la
Certo,
rivedevano,
certo.
la sistemavano, però comunque la struttura, tutto quella che è la canzone ce l'avevano pronta. E da là a 2 mesi hanno registrato l'album. Ovviamente sì, perché ha detto noi, almeno lui vuole questo da quello che faccio, vuole spontaneità, vuole che non ci sia roba che tu dici non sono soddisfatto, non mi va bene, tutto quello che è. E poi vabbè, adesso anche con la questione degli studi, ovviamente una volta dovevi essere, lui ha detto modalità rockstar, cioè prendevi, andavi, perché ovviamente costavano gli studi.
Sì.
Invece adesso puoi prenderti il tuo tempo, puoi ritagliare, sistemare quello che è, quindi è un po' più semplice da quel punto di vista. Però lui vuole quella sorta di spontaneità anche proprio nelle registrazioni, quindi nel momento in cui arrivi anche in studio che hai scritto la tua canzone in una sera, la registri come un lampo, è solo soddisfazioni, quindi ha detto perché The Gospel non è un album più lungo, perché questo era quello che avevamo da dare, cioè la spontaneità, la vena creativa che era venuta fuori in quel momento è stata svuotata, diciamo, quindi
Ok. Perfetto. Allora, invece l'ultima domanda, 2 domande in una. Lo so che Manheim non è esperto in film, però di cercare di capire un pochettino l'interpretazione di questi 2 appunto pionieri di film, e voglio scomodare Kubrick e Quentin Tarantino. Kubrick verso gli order, quindi quella parte malata, quella parte strana, quella parte particolare di film, anche appunto del film stesso, come riusciva a portare quell'angoscia, quella ruvidità, ma con tot di eleganza, e di descrivere appunto gli order in quella maniera, con appunto prendendo come spunto Shining di Kubrick. In Mayhem invece voglio portarli su Quentin Tarantino, follia, schizofrenia, ma allo stesso tempo con una parte che rispecchia la vera essenza del credo maledetto. E poi si chiude appunto la video intervista con qual è la bevanda perfetta per descrivere sia gli order che i Mayhem. Molto alcolica.
okay, so this is double question, so I will ask you the first part of it. So you said you and movies don't get along too much, so we will still try and ask you one thing about your main bands that you had and that you have. So still Mayhem and Order. If you are needing to compare the two bands to film directors such as Kubrick and Tarantino, how can you find the common ground between The Shining and Order, and with Mayhem and a movie of Tarantino for this schizophrenic kind of way of seeing things?
Yeah, well, I love both of the directors. Just for the record, I do love movies. I'm not that good at making them. That's all. So, okay. I think Shining is a good album because a good movie because it is because it has a psychological part while it still has this action violence stuff that keeps breaking into the story. But I'm not sure if I would choose Kubrick as a comparison to Order.
What would you pick if it was your choice in terms of representing them?
Yeah, which one? Well, I think Lynch is better.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that if you look at some of Lynch's more subtle work, is better compared to the music that we make. If I should distinguish between the different movies, of course, Eraserhead is my favorite of his movies, so I like that one. But it is maybe Blue Velvet, stuff like that, who brings you more into a area where you're challenged a bit emotionally. He dares go into areas that other people doesn't. So and maybe Dennis Hopper is the person that represent the more aggressive part of Order, while the more disturbed, slow parts is Eraserhead. When it comes to Mayhem, it's more chaotic, isn't it? At least the part that I'm part of, that I made. Tarantino, yeah. Well, I'm not sure if it's chaotic enough. Tarantino. It's pretty fast paced, but he's more of a gore man, right? So maybe I would maybe choose Peter Jackson, the 80s movies for Mayhem. Yeah. So
that's interesting.
Yeah. I think that's a more accurate that's my opinion. So, but of course it's based on what I watch.
Ci sta.
No, it's great. I mean, also the two directors that you said are actually pretty fitting in terms of like. I think, as you say, that are more suitable in terms of envisioning what the sound is. So yeah, I will go for these two as well. Now that you named them. Praticamente ha detto che per quanto riguarda gli order, piuttosto che Kubrick, nonostante Kubrick appunto sia molto sul cosa aveva detto, sul violento, che comunque Shining è molto violento, molto crudo, e ha parlato di Lynch, quindi Eraserhead.
Minchia, tanta roba.
Perché ha detto che è molto più psicologico rispetto a un Shining, appunto, o un qualsiasi altro film di Kubrick, e quindi secondo lui sarebbe quello più adatto. Invece per quanto riguarda i Mayhem, sì, Tarantino, caotico, ha detto, parafrasando un attimo, ma fin là, nel senso che è molto più sanguinolento e tutto. Tanto che il regista forse più adatto per questo, Peter Jackson. Quindi molto più rappresentativo, sono molto più rappresentativi dal punto di vista visivo rispetto a quello che è il suono, o almeno per quanto riguarda i Mayhem, ha detto, per la parte in cui lui ovviamente ha contribuito.
C'è stata un'intervista veramente allucinante.
Sì, decisamente. Now it's going to be the last question, which is the typical one for il Calice Nero, the Black Chalice.
Okay.
No vino, no vino, quello che stava bevendo prima, no.
So the question is, if you are needing to put Order and Mayhem on your own speakers, and you need to enjoy an alcoholic drink that is suitable for the two bands, which one would you go for that's going to be pretty hard eating, quote unquote? It's kind of a tricky one.
Yeah, there was a lot of new questions. I haven't been asked these type of questions before, so 100 points to you there.
I guess it's a compliment. Thank you.
So let's say, hard-hitting drinks to Mayhem. Well, if I think that if we go back to when we were doing that type of music, we had, of course, a much more energy. I would say that tequila or grappa or something like that would be more
grappa.
like suitable, right? So more intense, giving you an instant, you get this. I don't know if you know aquavita, but that's a Norwegian drink. So
no, we had some sort of stuff like that in here as well.
Yeah.
So
I would probably go for that, but when I'm now past my 50s, I don't do that type of spirits anymore. It's not good for me. I get too drunk. So I would say that if we go for Mayhem, I would probably go for some really, really strong wines. I would go into the area of Piemonte or something where you have some really, really tasteful, good wines. But of course, if you go back to the 80s, that would be, tough spirits. When you talk about order, definitely wine. Maybe Amarone. I don't know. So
Amarone. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. That's pretty
Vabbè, allora
good.
gli consigliamo anche di
Pretty good
venire in Sardegna e di bere una bottiglia di Cannonau.
wine. Yeah. I mean, he's asking you whether you can try some Cannonau when you're coming to Sardinia. So
absolutely,
you can try that.
absolutely. I'll do that. I'll try anything. It's just that I need to be cautious about the tequila these days.
No, Cannonau is actually a wine.
Grande.
It's
Okay.
a red wine.
Yeah, good.
So
okay, then I'll take plenty.
Then you're good with it. So there won't be any issues.
Fantastic.
Fantastic. I love wine. That's a good song, and it's a good saying. Yeah,
It's calming.
it is.
Ok, praticamente ha detto per quanto riguarda i Mayhem, sicuro andrebbe per quanto riguarda gli spiriti, quindi lui ha parlato di tequila, grappa e acquavite.
Acquavite? Minchia.
Sì.
Ok.
E questo per quanto riguardava gli anni 80 in cui lui faceva parte. Adesso ha detto che siccome non riesce più a reggere quella tipologia di alcolici e simili, ha detto sicuramente andrebbe per un vino, quindi delle zone del Piemonte, tipo una... No, non aveva specificato per quanto riguarda i Mayhem. Mentre per quanto riguarda gli order si tratterebbe sicuramente di un vino, e lui ha parlato appunto dell'Amarone. Ha detto che comunque sarebbe molto più che disposto a venire in Sardegna a assaggiare il tuo Cannonau.
Manheim, quando vuoi, guarda, a braccia aperte ti aspettiamo in Sardegna, veramente a braccia aperte.
You can come whenever you want in Sardinia, so you're more than welcome.
I'll take that. I'll do that. I'll definitely go there sometime, and I'll give you a ring.
Ok, thank you.
Allora, lasciamo gli ultimi 5 minuti appunto a Manheim per parlare appunto degli order, novità e tutto che ce l'avete prima, però è giusto lasciare appunto i 5 minuti a libera arbitrio appunto per Manheim per gli order.
Ok, so
live e tutto quanto.
Now we're giving you a few minutes just to talk about what is coming next for order, your projects, whatever you have musically.
Yeah, thank you. We're in the middle of making a new album, as you probably understood from my answers today. It will probably not be a concept album because we're doing a different approach, but I think that will be the next thing that we do with order. We're currently doing it in the studio. It's working well. It's quite creative. We even use synthesizers this time, but it's not what you think. It's but we use some old Roland synthesizers to make soundscapes, and then we put it into the music. So I think it's going to be. Well, I love what we do. I would love to play the demos for you, but I obviously I can't do that. But I'm excited about what we're doing so far. So that's basically what we do. It's not going to be much live performances with Order the next year, I suspect. Because we're fully now into studio again, and we did a tour after the gospel, but because of COVID and everything, it wasn't that big. A lot of cancellations, like everyone else experienced, and we don't have the opportunity to go on, like, we can't do 30 show tours. We need to have shorter tours, so that's it. Apart from that, we're Jörn and I, Necrobutcher and I are rehearsing together again. That's quite fun. So we're doing some of the old stuff, and we're enjoying ourselves like we did in the old days. And we plan to do a show with Billy Messiah on the vocals, and we have Anders on guitar, and we're going to do Death Crush and Pure Fucking Armageddon, I think. So,
that's big news. That's really big.
I guess it is. So I think that's going to be fun. If we're going to do it, we need to do it before we're 60, because if we do it after 60, I mean, then it's getting quite pathetic. So we need to do it when we're still have the energy to do it. So
when we're still young.
Yeah.
And with Order, any changes in terms of label, or you're still staying with Listenable Records?
Well,
if I'm not
so
mistaken.
far it's still listenable, but
Okay.
we have no reason to leave listenable. But we're not a big band. There's not, there's no way that we will go into the big brands or labels. So, and listenable is a good label. They know the music. They know what they're making. They have a legacy, and I think it's nice to be on a small label. So,
Yeah, they can take care of you more directly rather than having the big one, and you become just
they
a
give us the
number.
freedom. Yeah, they understand what we do. Like I can be frank enough. I don't think they mind. But when we delivered the gospel to them, they were kind of skeptic, because the sound, the way that we have mixed the album, is not the way that people mix their albums these days. So they were kind of skeptical if it would work, but they still allowed us to do what we wanted. So, and I think you need a label like that who respects what you try to do. And of course they have their say, but if you say that I hear what you say, but we're going to do it anyway because this is what we want it to sound like, and they say, okay, let's go. That's a good label. So
That's great. That's great to hear. Any shows planned already, or?
No, we don't have any actually.
Okay, so you're just
we are
focusing
going
on
to set them up. It would be fun to do a Europe tour, and we were talking about doing a Europe tour, but then everything collapsed, and with COVID and everything. And when COVID was over, everyone was lined up in queue, and we were not the first one in that queue because there was a lot of bands who are harder working and has a lot more at stake, and was already doing tours when COVID hit. So everything was pre-booked. So that was it. But of course we are going to set up some tours, but it's difficult these days because it's difficult to make it work economically. So I'm not sure how it is in Italy, but everything is more expensive. Yeah, it's more expensive, and people don't show up on shows anymore. They sit in front of their Netflix, and there's something wrong about things. I think things needs to be, you know, come back into more the we need some time, I think. Yeah, maybe. And of course, if you're Metallica, you can always set up a show, but if you're Order, it's not that easy, right? So
no, not at all.
that's
I
how it
guess
is.
so.
Yeah.
Ok, praticamente ci sono grandi novità. Parlo prima di
Vai.
quella che mi verrà per quanto riguarda gli order.
Ok.
Ha detto che da quello che si sarà capito dalle risposte date alle domande precedenti, stanno lavorando a un nuovo album.
Ok.
Adesso si stanno focalizzando su quello,
Ok.
quindi appunto non hanno ancora date previste, perché stanno comunque componendo in studio direttamente,
Ok.
quindi si prenderanno il loro tempo, faranno in modo di riuscire con tutto. Quindi si parla forse dell'anno prossimo come date.
2023, ok.
Ma non è ancora confermato nulla perché appunto vogliono focalizzarsi sull'album. E ha detto che comunque per quanto riguarda in generale l'esperienza live non ha tantissimo da dire, perché ha detto comunque tutto è diventato costoso. Si parlava di fare un tour europeo, ma sarà da vedere con i costi che ci sono adesso se cambierà qualcosa, ma ha detto che adesso è infattibile come questione. Ci ha detto se sei Metallica, ok, puoi farlo tranquillamente, non hai problemi. Altrimenti ciccia. E appunto ha detto che stanno utilizzando dei sintetizzatori su quest'album, che è una cosa un po' inusuale, ma ha detto che comunque non è strano per loro avere un approccio strano alla musica, perché ha detto che anche tanto l'etichetta rimarrà la stessa, quindi Listenable Records, e ha detto che comunque si trovano bene con loro perché hanno detto sì, noi non siamo un gruppo grosso, quindi ci va bene avere un'etichetta che si focalizzi su di noi e che ci segua, che capisca quali sono i nostri bisogni e quali sono i nostri desideri in qualità di musicisti. E che cosa stavo dicendo? Praticamente anche già dal primo album, siccome è stata mixata in maniera, diciamo così, non consona, erano già dubbiosi all'inizio, e il fatto che li abbiano presi su gli dà modo ulteriormente di poter rimanere. L'altra che secondo me è molto più importante da dire qua all'interno del Calice Nero, ha ripreso a far prove con Necrobotcher.
Minchia,
assieme
niente.
a Messiah e ad Anders. Ha detto che stanno cercando di organizzare qualcosa per fare il periodo Death Crush e Death Fucking Armageddon, e che stanno vedendo se è possibile per loro fare degli show in giro. Detto che ovviamente sperano che sia quanto prima possibile. Ha detto una volta che entri nei 60 sei già troppo vecchio per fare queste cose, quindi non vuole aspettare di entrare nei 60 prima di fare questa cosa. Ok,
quindi veramente delle news molto importanti. Allora Manheim, thank you very much, veramente thank you the opportunity to interview, è stato veramente un onore, the honor, fantastic.
Oh, it's my pleasure, and it's been good to talk to you, and some very interesting questions.
Thanks. Thanks really.
Thank you. Ok, ti salutiamo, ti mandiamo un abbraccio appunto da tutta l'Italia e un in bocca al lupo per tutto, sia vita privata che appunto sulla musica.
So we are saying thank you again, and we are wishing you the best for your personal life, your music career, and everything. And take care. See you soon, hopefully.
Hopefully, yeah. Okay. Have a nice evening.
See ya.
Ciao, Manheim.
Ciao.
Perfetto. Allora, ok, ragazzi, veramente, allora, prima di tutto ringrazio Adimer veramente con tutto il cuore,
Grazie a te.
perché grazie a te che sei salvata la puntata, quindi veramente ti ringrazio con il cuore. L'ho avvisato proprio di mattina, proprio l'ultimo, e lui è stato veramente disponibilissimo.
Cos'era?
Quindi
Neanche le 7 quando mi hai scritto?
Sì, neanche alle 7. Quindi, ragazzi, qua ci sono collaboratori veramente con le palle, perché merito anche loro, appunto, il canale continua, quindi veramente sono onorato di lavorare appunto con delle persone veramente di qualità, perché si
Grazie mille a
meritano
te.
tutto il rispetto. Allora, Adimer, veramente ci siamo divertiti, è stata un'intervista veramente figa, molto
Sì,
interessante.
sì.
Perché...
E tra l'altro
Dimmi.
ha detto che le domande che sono state poste qua non gli sono mai state poste prima, quindi è stato più che contento di ricevere domande di questo genere.
Ok, quindi va bene, perfetto. Allora, Adimer, poi tanto noi ci vediamo presto per fare altre puntate, quindi altri divertimento. Ragazzi, non perdetevi la puntata di domenica dalle 11 alle 12, orario insolito, ma ne vale veramente la pena, con Isvind, il progetto norvegese, una band norvegese, dove c'è Goblin, appunto il leader dell'Isvind. Allora, grazie mille, Adimer, ancora,
Grazie
un
mille a te.
abbraccio. Ricordatevi che il grande spettacolo non si fermerà mai, il sacro codice d'onore è 000, non è il conto postale di Adimer o di Margrieve Anarca. Ricordatevi una cosa, la morte vi renderà liberi. Au revoir.